Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Santos on Sports. Alongside Chris Santos, I am Paul Santos. We are so happy to be brought to you by Lakeville Athletic Club, located at 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville. Citywide glass, 3 locations to serve you at 425 State Road in Dartmouth, 2 additional locations in Fall River and Taunton, and Scotty's Pub, located at 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River. I'm sure it was very rowdy over there at Scotty's Pub the other night after that last game. Thank you very much for the sponsors. Okay, I got to get an opening rant right off here, and then we'll turn it over to Chris, the X's and O's guys. I want to throw away the X's and O's just for a second. I want to talk about that damn it factor. That damn it factor. I've been watching sports for 50 years, right? And some people have that damn it factor. You know what I mean? Big Papi had it. Reggie Jackson, the guys in baseball, in football. Obviously, Tom Brady comes up. When Tom Brady gets that ball with 2 minutes left, come hell or damn high water, he's going to find a way to come down the field and win that game. And he does it almost every damn time. Okay, now you get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he had that Super Bowl a long time ago. But how many times has it been one of these, you know? That last time that Green Bay played against the Patriots and, you know, the playoffs, they had the home game. They were in Green Bay and everything else. Rodgers had the ball 3-4 times in the fourth quarter, and it was like one of these every time, you know? So Jason Tatum, who is he? I think he's more like Aaron Rodgers. I hope I'm wrong. I got my shirt on. I'm going to Game 6. I'm excited. I'm pulling for him. I hope they prove me wrong. But I think he's more like that guy that's going to find a way to blow it. 3 or 4 air balls in the fourth quarter. A 30% shooting from 2. Forget about 3. When you really need that basket in the fourth quarter to break the momentum, right? It clanks off the thing every time. During the regular season, took like, I think, 13 or 14 last-second shots, missed 12 of them, you know? For God's sakes, when are they going to come? Now, we can talk about the whole team. Obviously, it's not a one-man show, but this guy doesn't show me that Larry Bird, that sort of like, you know, Magic Johnson, you know, that really clutch guy, you know, that Michael Jordan thing. I'm not sure he has it. Now, he's young. He can prove me wrong. But right now, I think he's that guy that's going to blow it.
Well, I thought he had it in the third quarter when they were down by 16, and he showed up and looked good and got the Celtics back to even and actually took the lead. So I was kind of excited to say, okay, let's bring that same intensity into the fourth quarter. But so much is happening during this last 2 games that, to me, not only him, I even think the rest of the team and the coaching have lost some identity and lost some self-confidence. I really do. And when you think about it, in the last 2 games, everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. You're missing free throws, starting out 0 for 12 from three-point line. You're talking about poor defense, getting outscored in the paint. 50 points for Golden State in the paint. I can't see that. A lot of stuff going on, and it's obviously leading to that fourth quarter where, yes, you want Tatum, but I don't think the way they're making that offense, going back to one-on-one hero ball, as you have called it in the past, Paul, looked like it was coming to the forefront in that fourth quarter to say, hey, let's do it this way and we'll win it. And that's not Celtics basketball. That's not what's got them there. That's not what's going to take them over the top. So they better find some identity. They better find some confidence in this game here, or no, they're going home. And I really thought, Paul, and another one too, the poise and the leadership was not there. Really worrying about every foul call. Marcus Smart throwing the ball, shooting it around, all worked up, got called for some tees, losing your poise, losing your leadership. A lot of that factors in with everything. And, of course, yes, you put more burden on your superstars. So it's Tatum and Brown that need to be the ones that stand out to do it in the fourth, to take you over the top and get you that big win. And they haven't done it. Now, have they been down 3-2 in the past? Yes. They were down 3-2 to Milwaukee. They went to Milwaukee, won that game, and then they won at home. So now they're coming home. Hopefully they can gain all this back, because right now they're not showing it in the last 2 games. They've been out hustled. They've been outplayed. What more you want me to say, Paul? I've said it all right there. We can end the show right now if you want, but that's the way I feel. They need to turn it around big time.
Well, I got to tell you, after my opening rant, I actually feel good now. This has been
Yep.
like all pent up, like I don't know, I just feel better. I just
Yep.
wanted to just get that off my chest. But believe me, if they prove me wrong, I'll be the first one to come in and say, look, they
Sure.
proved me wrong. But I don't see it. I mean, I think they can win Game 6 because they tend to really play their best game and they really have to. But then to go in there in Game 7 and beat them on their home court, wow, I don't see it. I think that's going to be tough. Now, while we have people making comments, I'd like to say hello to Leo Montero. Thanks for looking in. And Don Silva. Don Silva has made a comment over here. Don Silva says, oh, here we go. Sorry, Chris. Tatum is not a leader. A
Yep.
leader is consistent, and he is far from being consistent.
Listen, right now, from what you're seeing in these playoffs and the turnovers, which is obviously the biggest killer of the whole thing. And I know that you're trying to create, penetrate, and then when you get doubled or tripled, you look to find someone and you're making the wrong passes. Brown's been doing it. Tatum's been doing it. Smart's been doing it. Your three big ones, they all have to find a way to get back to some confidence, some ability to get to the basket, finish baskets when they need to. Thought that was huge in quarter number one. Adoka said it right at the end of the first quarter. He said, we had great looks. We're not finishing our chances. And instead, looking for fouls that are not there or trying to create, just get to the basket and get the ball in. So a lot going down. And Don's right now. They need to turn that around if they want to win the next two.
All right, a couple of other comments here. And by the way, you can give us a call. You see that number on the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
We love to hear from our regulars. We had a couple of new callers last week. So come in, vent. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm dreaming over here. But I don't think so. I'm looking at the facts, but you can disagree at 774-762-6234. Give us a call and let us know what you think. Now, we've got Mark Sylvia, who says Golden State has scored 102 points off turnovers. That's an amazing number.
Sure
20
is.
points a game off turnovers.
That's correct.
Protect the ball, fellas. Protect the ball. And then on top of that, Mark says 31-4 was the difference in bench scoring. Now, what happened to our bench in that game?
Well, again, and we talked about this in the last show. Who's going to step up for Golden State to take over to help out Thompson and Curry? Now, remember, Curry didn't have a great game. He was cold. He struggled a little bit, obviously, and it's an opportunity for the Celtics to take over. Nobody on their bench did. Their bench came back with Porter, Payton, Wiggins looking solid, and he's been all series right now. But the one that got me was, the points in the paint I thought were huge because I think the Celtics should be more physical than them down there with the players that they got. That's number one. Number two, the game before that, 55 rebounds in total compared to the Celtics 40. 55-40 total rebounds. So now what that means to me, what they're very good at, Paul, shooting three-pointers, Thompson and Curry. But you're getting second and third chances because you're getting out rebound and they're coming right back, getting quick points in the paint from them guys of Green, Wiggins, Poole, all them guys that have come in. Celtics really need a lot of work right now. They got a lot of issues. I'm having a tough one even figuring if they can come back, Paul, and gain some confidence and get that identity again to win Game 6. I'm really worried right now. I don't know if they can bring it back home.
Yeah, and home court, I mean, hasn't really meant much to the Celtics. They haven't really played that great at home. You know what I mean? Look at the record. I mean, it's like they always talk about home court. And I'm like, that home court, you can throw it out. I mean, they won 3 games in Miami. They couldn't win at home. They blew a game at home against, I think it was the round against Giannis there. So, I mean, home court hasn't been that great for them. So coming home, I mean, it's just that I think down 3-2, I think they're going to, give it everything they have and let all the guns fire. And maybe Golden State is, they're coming over to Boston, but we can talk about Game 7 if we have a Game 7, so one game at a time. But to think that they're going to win 2 in a row, that's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough. Now, Mike Concesio is on tonight. Hey, Mikey Kahn, what's going on? Give us a call. He talks about the tail of the tape. He says it's the tail of the tape, fellas. Points inside the paint and turnovers. Once again, those 2 areas that Chris talked about. And then he goes on to say referees are not going to change their calls. Fact. Play through the refs. They ultimately do not determine the outcome of the game.
Yeah, and I thought Marcus got caught up in that very poorly in the third and fourth, especially when they had the lead at the end of 3. You were looking very confident. Then he let it get to them, and he let the refs get to him. He let players get to them, and he was bothered by that. He lost his poise and his leadership, which then and Horford was drilling him, get back in this game. And Marcus couldn't do it, and he really struggled. Rest of the team struggled, went to one-on-one hero ball, and obviously the turnovers, as Mikey Kahn says, which is a killer no matter what. You got to protect the ball. And sometimes it just looks out there upon. Let's give Golden State some credit, Paul. This is, 6 out of the last 8 years, this team has been in the finals. This is not just going to lie down and give the Celtics a championship. This is a very good ball club that knows what they're doing. Okay, they've got some veterans that are getting up there a little bit, but at the same time, they got some young kids who are stepping up their game and doing the job as well. So they got a little bit of both. This is still a very good Warriors team.
And let's get a little comment in here from a gentleman from Fall River, watching on Fall River Reporter. Paul LaRuda says, and I've heard this too, and we do have to make this point. The Celtics are still a very young team. The average age probably mid-20s, and actually the star players are like 24, almost like early 20s, early to mid-20s. Their inexperience is coming through. And we've talked about teams. I made the analogy with hockey, how the Islanders in the fourth year of their 4 Stanley Cups lost to beat Edmonton. But then the year later, Edmonton came back and beat them. Like that Gretzky, Messier team just wasn't quite there yet to knock off the Islanders. But then the next year they did. I know I'm going way back to the 80s. But
I make comparisons too. Yeah. I've made comparisons with Kobe Bryant. I make comparisons with LeBron James in their first year, how they kind of struggled in the playoffs. And certain things. Now, obviously, Kobe had Shaq and some other things, and LeBron didn't have maybe some of the backup as well. And it shows, and it's tough, and it's a learning curve, and they got better as obviously they went on. Now, am I saying Tatum and Brown are going to do that in the next couple of years? I have no idea. I'm hoping so, but it's been kind of tough for them, and you can go back and look at other series that youngsters have just started out and what it's like. But right now, the turnovers is probably the biggest factor in the entire series in my eyes. I think that's top of the list right there, because when the Celtics are just, when you're getting all them points off of turnovers, you can't come back from that, Paul, and they haven't been able to.
And a shout out to Carolyn Cabral watching on New Bedford Live. Thank you very much for looking in on Santos on Sports. By the way, don't forget, we love the comments, so keep those coming.
Absolutely.
But also give us a call and talk to us directly on that number right there. There it is on the screen, 774-762-6234. Mark out there in Chicago, I think he's working this afternoon because we run at 4 instead of 5. So I don't think he's going to be able to call. But I got to tell you, remember he did do it. He did do it. We were joking around. He gave us the damn guarantee, right? So I'm looking at that and said, and we joked around. We're like, he gave us the guarantee. That's the kiss of death. He gave us the guarantee. And look at this. Since he gave us the guarantee, I can feel the roof with the snow on it, and that roof is starting to cave in. And Mr. Guarantee gave us the kiss of death. Oh my God, not again.
Well, I like to see people call in and get an idea of what they think about tonight's game and how the Celtics come back from losing two, not score-wise badly, but losing a lot with their team badly. And I mean by confidence, identity, poise, leadership, those things that really need the focal points of this Celtics team to come back. Can they handle that now in Game 6? Now, with Tatum in the lineup, they haven't dropped back-to-back games since, I think, early January, if I'm not mistaken. So, to go 3 in a row, has not been really much on the Celtics list. So hopefully that gets them fired up. Now, Steve Kerr on the opposite hand says, let's go to Boston. Let's end it. Let's do it there. So, he's trying to get his team fired up. Hopefully that's a little bit of bulletin board material for the Celtics and say, hey, not on our home court. You can win it, but if you're going to do it, you better do it at your place, because it's not going to happen here. So they need to show up, Paul, and they need to show up immediately, and they need to do it with those focal points in mind.
Chris and I had a little bit of a laugh the other night because, we did the show, of course, and Chris was talking about the fact that, you can't just win with Curry. What about the bench? Are they going to
Yeah.
come through, right? So then all of a sudden Wiggins came through and Thompson came through and Peyton and Poole, everybody was scoring. But in the opening of the game, the color analyst, Jackson, came on and he said the exact same thing that Chris Santos had said a couple hours before. So it's kind of funny. It's like, wait a minute, that was like almost word for word. So, hey, your analysis is right there with a nationally known color commentator that's giving the analysis coast to coast.
Well, that's nice to say, Paul. And, I hope that other people are seeing what I'm seeing. And I think they are. And they're knowing what's going on. And they know that, hey, what's going to help Curry? He just can't do it alone. And it's the same thing. Tatum's not going to do it alone. Brown's not going to do it alone. They need a team effort from everyone in the paint, outside, turnovers, all those things gel all together. Find the open man, not just spread it out, one-on-one hero ball, and think you're going to get away with it. It's just not going to be that way. So they have to regroup, refocus, and they better do it quickly or it's all over tonight.
Who would have thought that on a night that Steph Curry goes 0 for 9 from three-point land, goose egg for 9, right? After having that phenomenal game the other day, and we still lost the game anyway. I just can't believe it. What does that tell you? Like, Curry's got 2 games left, right? So you got to figure in one of those 2 games, he's got to go off again. He's not going to have 2 more games for, whatever like that. I mean, there's just no way. One of those 2 games is going to go off. And then what are you going to do? And suppose he goes off, it's the same night everybody else is hitting.
Well, he did it the day before, the game before there when he went for 43 or whatever it was. So I don't see him being, as you say, OFA in tonight's game. I expect him back in it, off the picks, off the screens, finding that 3 when he needs to. But they had an opportunity where their star is down. He's not playing to his potential. And hopefully ours were. They weren't. And Golden State hung on. And their bench was better than ours. Plain and simple. They did it. They wanted it more. They outplayed and they out-hustled the Boston Celtics. As simple as that.
All right, let's go to the phones. Hello, you are on Santos on Sports.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing well. I'm trying my cell phone again, so hopefully I don't break up too much this time.
Okay.
But boy, what a frustrating past couple of games. Like kind of stole my thunder like a minute or so ago. Like a night where Steph Curry just lays a complete egg, 0 for 9 for 3 or whatever the hell it was, and we still end up losing by 14. It seems like this entire playoff run, it's just too much to ask for this team to take care of the basketball for back-to-back games. Now we haven't been able to take care of the ball for 2 straight. So it's hard to feel confident about the Celtics team. The way that they play these past couple of games, it just looks like they've completely quit and fallen apart these past couple of games. And to answer the question of the title, I'm looking at Jason Tatum, and he's looking more like Aaron Rodgers by the minute. This whole finals has just been one disappearing act, with the exception of like a couple of quarters here and there. Sure, he came on a little bit in the third, and we took the lead, but that seemed to have just transferred over to the fourth quarter. Instead of having a bad third quarter, we have a bad fourth quarter now. That's been that way for the past couple of games. It's been ridiculous.
Ryan, have you noticed that in those last 2 specifically, when the Celtics have attempted to penetrate, sometimes they go a little bit deeper than I think they need to, and then they make the turnover, number 1. Number 2, I don't see as much movement as I've seen in the past. So they rely on the one-on-one penetration, and when it's not there, nobody's moving except for the Golden State players, and they're just picking off passes like there's no tomorrow and going the opposite way. I think the Celtics have to start to move a lot sooner, get more aggressive, finding the open man faster, instead of just thinking, well, I got a great one-on-one matchup. I'll penetrate, get double teamed, and then throw it away. Or finally beat the man, then someone else comes over, and then they just get it knocked out of their hands. It seems like Jaylen Brown, every time he touches the ball, gets in the paint, he's getting that knocked out of his hands.
Exactly, and I think throughout the entirety of the playoffs, Milwaukee, Miami down the stretch, I think one of the bigger issues has just been, like you alluded to, just kind of dribbling it into traffic. Yeah. And like you guys both have said, it's kind of become like, Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart, stupidly enough. They're trying to be, they're trying to play hero ball, ISO hero ball. One of the reasons why you got here in the first place, that you had this big turnaround, was because, Marcus Smart was passing the ball more. Just in general, we were moving the basketball around more, and we were like, every once in a while, you have a good lob up to Time Lord or what have you, find someone wide open in the corner, which to me, as much as I like wide open threes, we haven't been making those consistently. So I would like a little bit more movement maybe inside the paint. But yeah, that dribbling the ball into traffic, getting a little bit too deep into the paint, that's definitely been an issue.
And I think that's why they've gone back to hero ball, because they keep turning it over when they try it the opposite way. Now you lose confidence. And then you go back to, like, if I go in there, I'm going to turn it over. So I back off and I try to go one-on-one hero ball, and I'm not making the shot.
Well, I remember this play at the end of the third quarter. It just drove me crazy. I thought we were back in December again. You might remember this. I think the Celtics had a ball with like 30 seconds left, so they were going to get another possession. But Tatum brought the ball up, and he just stood there and dribble the ball, wait for the clock to come down, dribble the ball. And then with about 5 seconds left, then he was surrounded by like 2-3 guys, but he was back behind the three-point line. Didn't know what to do, so he threw this terrible pass across to someone, I don't remember who it was, and they took a low percentage shot, didn't get it. And then Golden State came down and got that lucky shot from half court that banked in, and everybody went crazy. I was like, oh my God, But they went back into that, what you call ISO ball, Chris. And why I was looking at my phone. I was like trying to decide who to text first. I was like, oh no, he's doing it again. He's doing that stupid ISO ball crap. Do you remember that? I mean, it was only one play, but I'm like, oh, that was just what used to happen before, that dribbling the ball, wait for the clock to come down. It didn't work then, and it still doesn't work.
No, and then it went to the fourth quarter where he tried to back in Wiggins a few times, and you've already said it, Paul. He threw a couple of air balls off his back foot, shooting away. So again, no confidence at all in this ISO ball because it's not working. But yet when they try to do it the other way and penetrate and go through, then find the open man, they're turning it over, whether it's a bad pass or it's getting knocked out of their hands before they even make the pass or the attempt to go to the basket. So I think they've lost confidence and they don't know what to do right now.
I hate to focus on Tatum all the time because, he's the big star and he's the first team all-star and all that. But it's a team game. I mean, Pritchard came off the bench. He was 0 for 3. I mean, if he had just hit a couple of those like he usually does, then it's a spark. Grant Williams was basically invisible. Even Horford, wasn't that good that night. But, Tatum, right? This is a stat, right? In the last 5 minutes of all of these games, right, in the finals now, the last 5 minutes, he's only hit one basket and it was in garbage time. So that's like, you're batting 300 in the second inning, in the third inning, but then when you get to the ninth inning, you're batting 0.00, In that last 5 minutes, you got to make the shots are always clinking somewhere. They're not going in. And even Marcus Smart, they tried to blow that game against Miami. I mean, it was like, we're trying to blow it, but we failed, So, Ryan, don't you think it's frustrating to see that even as a team, not just Tatum, even as a team, they can't seem to make that clutch basket to kind of like slow the other team down when they're making that fourth quarter run.
No question about it. And, leave the fourth quarter out of it. This entire playoffs, it's just felt like, we get into the bonus and we're just settling for jacking up threes. And, I'm not sure if we talked about it before, but this is also fourth quarters, what have you. It just seems like they just keep just flailing around looking for fouls. Like you mentioned that play earlier when, Marcus Smart just went spilling onto the floor and left Klay Thompson wide open for a three. It's just, I don't know. It's just something with this team. I just don't get it.
It's different in the fourth. If the game was tight and it was trading baskets tight. But what's happening is the Celtics are so far down at that time in the middle of the fourth. Now you're forced and you're pressured and you're forcing shots because you're trying to get back because you're down double digits. Now, if it was tight and they're only down 2, down 3, I understand what Paul's saying. Got to make that big basket. But when you're down 12, 16, double digits all the time, you're pressing, you're forcing, you're trying to get something to happen, you're looking for contact. And then every time you get a contact, they don't call it. Your arms are up in the air and you're walking back instead of running back. A lot of bit of poise in leadership that young kids right now are doing. And that's what the Celtics, being young, instead of, hey, that play's gone. Let's get on to the next one and move on. Find that poise, find the confidence in yourself and your team, and get back to what you do best. Right now, there's no confidence in it.
Well, you mentioned about, an older person looking at it a little bit
Yeah.
different. I think Horford was the guy that was kind of in control. He was like going up to Marcus Smart and those guys, and they're throwing up
Right.
their hands. They're like, hey, the calls aren't going our way right now. Over the course of 7 games, sometimes they're going to go your way, sometimes they're not. It's like, hey, forget it. We can still win this game, because if you're thinking about the last play, it's not going to help you in the next play,
Well, even Udoka said it in timeouts, and Udoka said it to the national announcer, and came up to me and says, we got to stop worrying about what refs think. We have to worry about what we do. And right now, we're caught up with them instead of playing Celtics basketball. And I think he even used the A word at his players, if I'm not mistaken, and called him that and said, play Celtic basketball. Stop being the A word and move from there.
All right, before you go, Ryan, I remember when the Celtics were up 2-1, and we were all feeling good, and we were like, oh, yeah, they win game 4, they'll be up 3-1, and they have a lot more talent than Golden State, and we had people calling up and this and that. And I'm pretty sure I remember you calling up going, I'm still not feeling too excited. I'm still a little worried, I'm still a little worried.
No,
And it turns out that you were right to be worried, right? I mean, unfortunately, you were right, but I think you were right even when it was 2-1. And we actually had some guy call up and said, the Celtics are all done. Remember that? That guy from Fall River, if you're watching, he called up at the end and he went, you know what? The Celtics are going to lose. I'm like, really? 2-1? What are you talking about? So you had that little fear there, Ryan. There was something in the back of your head that was saying, 2-1. I mean, 85% of the time the team is up 2-1, wins and all that. There was something in the back of your mind that was saying, hey, whoa, big fella, let's pull that back for a second.
I was just gonna say, like, let's pump the brakes just a little bit because even though it's a new coaching regime, a harder coach than as great as Brad Stevens was with the X's and O's and stuff like that. This is still a young team, and I feel like there was just still that thing in the back of their minds, like that they either get big headed when they're up 2-1 and stuff like that, and then they end up just choking away a fourth quarter like that. And then if they lose 2 straight, then they get all mopey and dopey by the end of the fourth quarter again, like we've seen in past Celtics teams before Udoka came in. So I was like, I got to see it to believe it. And unfortunately, I didn't want it to happen. I wanted to be wrong, but it just came to fruition.
Well, let's see what happens in Game 6, and hopefully we have a Game 7 to talk about. And I'll be looking forward. I got to tell Chris. Chris and I text during the games. I always get these texts from Ryan, and it's usually a gloomy one, but it usually comes out. So at the beginning of the game, I can always tell, if Ryan's feeling gloomy, we're in trouble, All right, Ryan, thank you very much for the call. We appreciate it.
No problem. Hopefully Celtics win tomorrow. Thanks for having me on.
All right. 774-762-6234. Give us a call. And Chris, I got an interesting comment over here.
Yeah.
Somebody said, let's see, a lady by the name of Brittany Marie said to somebody by the name of Alex Nadja, hey, wait a minute. Isn't that one of your former softball teammates? That guy looks familiar.
That's true. He was. I was one of his teammates. We go way back to that's almost Marshall's Realty.
Wow.
That's how long ago that was down in Dartmouth and Jones Beach. Way back when. So yes, this is me, and been done with softball for quite a while now. So I guess we're talking more on basketball than we are softball.
So he might be thinking, hey, is Chris Santos, isn't that Mr. Clutch?
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know about that, but I like to say sometimes that I am more than I'm not. So hopefully, he and some others saw it that way too when I was on their team.
I didn't play that much, but I think I was more of an Aaron Rodgers. If I was up with a game on the line, I was like tighten that bat a little bit. Too much brain. I just thinking too much. You got to put that. You almost have to shut your brain off in those situations, right? And just focus, right?
Well, the other part too is you always remember the ones that you didn't do what you wanted to do, compared to the ones that you did win. So there were times that I might have got some clutch hits and we won. And it's not in my mind, but I always remember the ones that I was hoping to get that clutch hit and I didn't get it. So I always remember those instead.
All right. Give us a shout at 774-762-6234. Let's talk about the Celtics. Big game Did you say tonight? The game's tomorrow night,
That
right?
is tomorrow. I
Oh,
apologize.
thank you, because I got a
It is
ticket. So
tomorrow.
if it's tonight, I better get out of
I
here.
did say tonight. That was my
Yeah, all right.
mistake.
It's tomorrow night, so we got another little chance to think about it. I'm looking at these numbers over here. You're talking about Steph Curry 0 for 9 from 3-point land. It's like
Yep.
unfathomable that he would go 0 for 9 and the Celtics would lose the game, right? But then these other guys all came through, and then you look at our bench, and we talk about White and Pritchard and all that. It really couldn't get anything going. So then they kind of like leaned on Tatum, who did look like he was fatigued, but it's kind of hard to use that as an excuse when you're a young guy. The other team is older than you. And then the other thing too, I do want to step back for a second because I like the kid. I like what he's been saying. We talk about Tatum in the post game and stuff like that. And you and I have talked about, I actually like it better when he's Mr. Facilitator rather than taking the clutch shot. So, but the thing is, he's drawing so much attention, and I think you're right. Like, I think he holds on to the ball so long that he's almost double and triple teamed by the time he decides to throw it. And then when he decides to throw it, they're anticipating the pass. It's almost like in hockey when the guy's making that pass through the neutral zone and somebody sticks out the stick and anticipates the pass, or you got like somebody in the defensive backfield and they can tell where the ball's going to go. They were like, oh, he's going to kick over here, and they were already over there looking to intercept it and stuff like that. So they like you said, you got to credit Golden State. They were doing a lot to try to disrupt the Celtics and force those turnovers, and it's still inexcusable to have those many turnovers. But the Warriors were, they were improving on defense, I think, in that last game.
Yeah, and the Celtics, the other players are standing still, Paul. They're not moving. So now Tatum's moving, and they're all standing there saying, give it here, give it here. Well, Golden State is reading this, and they're seeing it, trying to figure out where they're going. And so they've picked off a couple, or, they sail it out of bounds, and it's a turnover. Either way, it doesn't matter. So Celtics have to keep moving to them open spots instead of just sitting there waiting and say, hey, here I am. I like to see him get to that a little bit better as well. Or at the same time, then, hey, let's help Tatum. If he's got the ball and he's got a guy on him, and now they set a pick, and now he goes around, here comes 2 or 3. Well, let's set some more, or let's not make these long passes, shorten the passes up a little bit. And so, you got to find a way to solve that problem and keep the turnovers down, because that's been huge the entire series.
All right, let's see. Don Silva says they started the game by missing a whole bunch of shots.
They were 0 for 12 from 0 for 12 from 3-point in their first 12 attempts.
That's right. That's exactly what he says. They started off missing 12 3-point shots in a row.
Yep.
As a coach wouldn't tell you, or wouldn't tell your players after missing 6 or 7 in a row to start bringing the ball in closer for 2-point shots.
Yep.
So he's saying, you start missing, you miss 12 threes. Somewhere in there, you got to start crashing the rim. So I think is what he's saying.
Right. So they go inside, and then what do they do when they get inside? They get in traffic, and then they try to get out of the traffic, and they turn the ball over. So, again, the confidence is not there. And if you make a couple of threes, now you get a little bit more confidence. So now they step out on you, then you might be able to get back inside again to get some easier baskets. So it's a chess match.
All right. And Mikey Kahn, he says, I disagree. He says Tatum is only 24 years old. How many of the greats have won a title at the age of 24 besides Magic?
Well, we talked about that. We talked about what Kobe did. We talked about what LeBron did in their first years. And there's a lot of others that you could say that too. This is our team, our area. So everybody wants to win and they want it now. But at the same time, yes, these are still young kids, still working on it. So is that a lot to do with it? I think so in some way. I really do. I mean, besides Horford, these are all young, talented players that, have not been under the gun when it's come down to, I understand semifinals and quarterfinals, but it's championship time and you're playing a veteran team. So that's why maybe the turnovers are higher than they normally are.
Don Silva commented that they're opening up Fenway Park. Now, I don't know if this is game 6, maybe it is game 6 and possibly game 7. They're opening up Fenway Park, and you can watch the game for free on the big screen at Fenway Park so that, people that, couldn't go to the game or whatever can watch the game at Fenway. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I actually have a ticket, which I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for the damn ticket, but I just figured this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of a thing because the Celtics can't win now. But, so I figure this way, right? Either way, I'm good because either the Celtics will win the game, which will be very exciting and everybody will be cheering. It'll be fantastic. Or I will actually see the NBA title being carried around the parquet floor by Steph Curry and those guys. And even though I don't really want to see that, it's like I told you, I bought a ticket to Game 6 of the Bruins against Chicago, and the Bruins lost the game, but I did see the Stanley Cup come out, and I watched Chicago carry the cup around. So that was actually, as a hockey fan, that was pretty cool. So either way, I'm all set. They're either going to force Game 7, and the place is going to be going bananas, or Steph Curry's going to be holding the trophy standing on top of the leprechaun.
Well, the biggest key for you is, will you be down below with the normal, or will you be up high in the rafters and really, really hearing what comes out in Boston fans?
Yeah, well, Leo Montero was watching the show the other day, and after the show was over, he sent me a message. He goes, "Oh, I love that line that you said at the end of the show." I said, "What was that?" He said, "When you went to the balcony, the fans were younger, drunker, and 3 times as vulgar." He said, "You ought to have a T-shirt.
Sounds about
Drunker,
right.
drunker, 3 times as vulgar." I said, "Yeah, that's just what popped in my head," and it was true. It was so funny because we were down below waiting for a season ticket holder to show up, and then when we went to the balcony, oh my God, it was just like, people grabbing their crotch and they're flipping off the people. And what good does it do to flip off a player when you're in the last row in the balcony?
Not like he's going to look up and see you and say, "Okay, pal, thanks."
It's like, I don't think I'm looking down. I don't think he's seeing that. You know what I mean? Anyway, but hey, give us a shout. We really enjoy your comments. Keep those coming. We really enjoy your phone calls at 774-762-6234. I hate to be like, bashing the Celtics because, they're young, they're coming together. They've had a great run. If they fall short, it's not like you can say this was an unsuccessful season, and the season is not over. I can see them, if they can put it together in Game 6 and get the confidence back, then go to Game 7. I think they can give them a game. Do I see them going out there and winning Game 7? Nah, I don't think so. But, you talk about the Celtics bench, right? All it really takes is, okay, we're going to rest Tatum, and now Pritchard's going to come in, and Grant Williams is going to come in. All you need is like bang, 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 2 or 3 3-pointers right there, and all of a sudden it's a different game. And how do you explain that the free throws? The free throws are terrible. I mean, and again, I hate to mention Tatum again, but there was like 10 free throws that they missed. And they were behind by 10 points in the fourth quarter. Now you're not going to get all of them, but some of these players are 70-80% free throw shooters, and they couldn't even do that. I mean, that's very disheartening.
Yeah, and it becomes mental. It becomes a confidence thing when you're not scoring during the game. Now you get to the line, and you're thinking in your head, "Hey, how am I going to get open for the next one? How come I'm like 0 for 6 on threes, trying to find open man? I'm turning the balls over." And the next thing you know, no confidence in the free throw. So it becomes a mental thing. And that particular night for the Celtics, unfortunately, you're given, I can't remember, 10 to 12 points where you miss free throws that should be on the scoreboard. So it ends up being big. Never mind all the other things that are going on. Now you're doing this. So it really hurts.
All right, let's see. We have another comment from Mark. He says that he saw Time Lord is shooting 92%. He knows his game isn't one where they go down to him regularly. It's
Right.
mostly putbacks or alley-oops. But Golden State really has no answer for Time Lord. They really should get him the ball more. Not a bad idea, I don't think.
To a point, I think Mark is correct. And then to a point, I say, well, why not use him as a guy where I get it low, and then maybe he can find some people up top or some cutters. I'm not saying you have to go into him and then let him do it and try to score. Make him a passer as well. Make him create and let other guys move and cut. Maybe Time Lord can find some open men, or Horford, or somebody else that you like as a passer, and get them. I mean, you're only going to get one thing from Williams. That's stand down at the baseline in the corner and wait for the ball and maybe shoot a 3. Because I haven't seen him inside doing enough that I'd like to see from Grant. So maybe they can use Robert in another way, as well as Mark has said, not able to control him. So when they do in the double, now maybe he can make some passes and find some open people.
All right, shout out to Augusto Silva, Jose Isidoro, Eddie Gallego, William Shanks, Betty Ruggles Tolias for watching here this afternoon on Santos on Sports. Right in the middle of the NBA Finals. I know we've been doing a lot of basketball, but we're going to circle around to the hockey and baseball and even football as, the NBA Finals wind down. But, it's very unusual to have a team in the finals. I mean, I shouldn't say that. If you go back to 2001, we have a team in the finals every other year, or the Super Bowl. So it's just amazing how every year there is a Boston team kicking around in the finals. But we figured we'd focus on the basketball. But while we're on the subject real quick, how about the firing of Cassidy? And how about the fact that he shows up over there in Vegas with a very good team that made it to the conference finals 2 out of the last 3 years, missed the playoffs last year, but he's got some talent over there. And boy, he's going to be over there thinking, let's just take this and stick it right up the caboose of the of the Boston Bruins. And I think he's got some talent over there to do it.
Well, first, he's out in the West, and, obviously the
Yeah.
Bruins are over here in the East,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they wouldn't really see each other unless they both made the cup, number one. Number two, it didn't take him very long to land another job that quick. Only took him, 8 to 10 days? Don't have it really written down in front of me, but I think it was 10 days that he's been gone with the Bruins now. So that's how fast that was. Number three, as you just alluded to, Paul, a good organization that's coming down. As you said, didn't make the playoffs. That's why they got rid of their coach. Prior to that, with some good players, have made the playoffs. I think right now they get a goaltender that they like. They're going to be right back in contention under Cassidy. And who doesn't want to play in Vegas? Everybody wants to play in Vegas. They all want to live there. That's the fun part.
Yeah, I got a brand new arena and everything.
Yes.
And, it's not that far from the West Coast, not that far from Los Angeles. You got a, pretty good fun city over there as long as you don't go too bananas. So that's a pretty good setup if you're a young athlete playing in the National Hockey League. And then the other thing too is I believe the Stanley Cup playoffs resume tonight. The final obviously got Tampa Bay and Colorado.
Yep.
And our good friend from New Bedford, Tom Mulligan, who is the head trainer, who already has 3 Stanley Cup rings because he was there in 2004. He's got the 2 in a row. And last year he said, I'll see you guys next year. I said, all right, well, if you win the cup for the 3rd time, you got to come back on. He goes, deal. And here they are knocking on the door again. But you talk about experience. This is a team that's deep. They got the goaltending. They come to play. They got the defense. I mean, Colorado may have enough to beat them this time, but the Colorado is kind of like the Celtics, that young team, first time in the finals. You got to think that Tampa Bay is going to find a way to win that thing.
Oh, absolutely. And Kadri's out for Colorado. Supposedly points coming back for Tampa, which is one of their better players. But I just think it all starts with the best goalie in the world. And right now he happens to be on the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they go ahead, beat Colorado, win for 3 years in a row, right up there with the Islanders, right up there with Edmonton as an elite franchise in the NHL, and continue their winning ways and bring a 3rd cup in a row back to Tampa.
And of course, we'll have him back on. And every time they show the bench, they have a lot of close-ups of the bench. I mean, sometimes it's just the coach, but a lot of times you see the whole bench. And when you see Mully standing there, and I'm like, hey, Mulligan, hey, he's from New Bedford, so it's always fun to see somebody. And by the way, Corey Lavamonnier, who was a trainer, he's from the Allen family, played for Dartmouth High School and stuff.
Right.
He works for Springfield in the AHL, and they're, I believe, in the finals, or they're doing really well in the playoffs. So There's a few teams floating around that are having success, and we always like to see people from this area have success in whatever their venture is. Okay, you still have a chance to jump in and talk to us. We don't bite. 774-762-6234. Give us a shout. And remember, I don't have a cigar, but I have that other dumb show that I do, and we did a comedy bit, and I had the fake cigar right here. I do have a fake cigar, but that fake cigar, that's like a fake championship. That doesn't count. We still have the deal. Because, Chris is one of those guys, he likes to have a cigar with his buddies and stuff like that. Got to go outside, though. Got to go outside.
You go outside.
So I said to my wife, I said, hey, I don't think I've ever smoked a cigar. So I said, well, if they win the championship, we're going to smoke a cigar. She goes, you're going to do that inside here? I said, well, I got to do it inside here because this is where our setup is. She goes, oh God, So I said, well, it won't be for long. It'll be a couple minutes. And of course, Chris is going to hook me up with I don't know what he's going to hook me up with. I'm hoping you're giving me like one of those Louis Tiant Cuban cigar specials. If they're going to win, I got to lay out some coin. You know what I'm saying?
Don't worry, Paul. I'll have it right for you. I'll find you. We'll have it. And don't forget, I'll take my laptop. I'll be right outside. I'll have it all set up right where I want to be.
Oh, so you can't smoke the cigar inside even if
that's not going to happen. I'm going to go outside and do it.
I'm going to have a fan blowing the smoke out the window. I'm going to have to call Serve Pro. Like, come in and blow the smoke out. Anyway, they still have a chance to win. So, yeah, after the season's over, we'll pick up on the Red Sox. The Red Sox kind of rallied and got themselves in a spot to possibly get a wild card spot. So that's always exciting. Of course, the Patriots, apparently Matt Jones is having a pretty good time in the OTAs and stuff like that. But again, it's 7-on-7. There's no pass rush or anything. So we'll see what happens with them. And hopefully as we go into the summer and into the fall, we'll have other stuff going on. But right now, most of the Celtics, and we do have a comment here again from Mark, and he says Udoka has to keep confidence on the bench. Pritchard had no minutes in the second half, and White had 4. They were tired in the fourth. Keep the bench rotation intact. Don't bail on the bench. So that's interesting. Pritchard went up there. He threw 3 bricks in the first half, and the bench wasn't doing that well. White was doing that well. So Udoka probably figured, well, these guys don't have it tonight, so I'm not going to put him back in there. Maybe the line of thinking is, don't be shy about that. Pritchard missed the first 3. Maybe he hits the next 3. How many times has Tatum missed the first 5 or 6 shots, and all of a sudden he hits 5 in a row? You got to get in there, get comfortable. So maybe he gave up on the bench a little bit too quick. What do you think about that?
Well, the experts say they thought that the Celtics were tired in the fourth. And that's a lot of guys saying that, the following day. And, you're watching Tatum throw up air balls. You watch Brown very sluggish in the paint and a lot of other things. So, again, it's tough to say unless you're there listening and hearing how it goes. But, yeah, he could have gave up on the bench at certain times and said, they're not producing the way I like to, and I'm just going to keep these guys in instead. So, maybe that hurt them at the end. That's a possibility. But it was something that the experts talked about. They thought the Celtics were tired in the fourth. Remember, after giving all that effort and energy in the third, down by 16, to now catch up and actually take the lead. And they couldn't withstand it. They didn't have the energy in the fourth. That's what some experts were saying.
Yeah, I did hear that quite a bit, actually, that
Yes.
They were tired, that, they leaned on Tatum a little bit. But then you look back at some of these other series like Giannis. I think there was one game that Giannis played almost the whole game.
Curry too. And I think Curry did that in one of these earlier games in Boston. He played the entire game too. So how about the kid from Miami, Jimmy Butler? He played an awful lot of minutes when he was in there too. So, again, you can find a way to reserve yourself, even though you are playing every single minute of the game. There's ways you can take timeouts and certain runs and things and kind of breathe easier when other people are scoring for you. But, that's what they were saying, that the Celtics look tired. So hopefully that doesn't happen in the next 2 and they can win both.
So when you're the coach, you got a tough decision to make there,
Yep.
right? Let's say Coach Chris Santos is on the sidelines and you're like, okay, let me get Pritchard in there and see if Pritchard can give us a little spark and hit a couple of threes so he doesn't hit him in the first half. Well, maybe he doesn't have it tonight. So now you get to the second half and you're like, okay, I got to decide between having my tired top line guys in there like, Brown, Tatum, and just run them into the ground, or give them a little rest and hope that Grant Williams, Pritchard, and some of these guys can give you something for 5, 6, 8 minutes, So the difficulty in making that, it's easy for us at home, right? The difficulty of actually making that decision on the site with the information that you have, probably not so easy.
No, it's not. But there are times that we've watched the superstars come out for a very short time. Just get a quick drink of water, a couple minutes, 1 or 2, just to gather thoughts, get themselves composure together, get some confidence again, get back out there and go from that way. You got TV timeouts. They throw that in there. You got regular timeouts. You throw that in there. And, there's a lot of different ways that you can find a way to get some guys some rest and then obviously get them back in when you need them. So hopefully Udoka does a better job of that if they think that's what the real issue was. And so that's something they'll have to work on.
I'm going to ask Mr. X's and O's a question here. You can tell me if I'm dreaming or something, but I'm watching the game, and in one of those earlier games, Steph Curry would try to go in for a layup, and Rob Williams, the defender of the rim, he'd swat it away. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's awesome, But then I noticed that Steph Curry, he would be going in for a layup, and instead of going in for a layup with the ball going in the direction that you think it was going, he was going up, and then as Rob Williams went to swat it away, he changed direction and put the ball behind him. Now, am I dreaming, or did it feel like Steph Curry was making some adjustments to try to get around those blocks?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously you don't want to get blocked. So he's trying to find the way that I'm going like this. Then I move my hand out here, and then he flicks it and it goes off the backboard and in instead of going straight up with Williams. And obviously, so he's changing the complexity of the shot is what Williams doing, but Curry is adjusting and he's making it sometimes, and sometimes he's not. But he's giving himself a chance to make it compared to being blocked by Robert Williams.
All right, so I
Yes.
wasn't seeing things. I wanted to confirm what I was seeing
No, I
on the
agree.
screen. I was like, I think Curry's making some kind of adjustment because
Yep.
Williams isn't blocking as easy as he did the other day.
No,
And I
and
see
then
those little.
sometimes you, instead of always right here, how many times did the commentators say in the last game, you got to force Tatum to the left hand, get him to go to his left hand? How about the left hand? They must have said that 6 to 10 times during that game in the third and fourth quarter because they always want to go to their right. Did you hear that too?
Yes, I did. And they talked about Tatum and Brown.
Yes, correct. So that's trying to say maybe Golden State is picking up on that and they're adjusting on the fly how to play defense against these two guys. So now Brown and Tatum have to adjust and figure out their game and get better.
All right. Shout out to Eva Marie Zader Fernandez and Stefan Henderson for watching here. Santos on Sports. Thank you very much. We got a few minutes left. If you want to jump in and tell us that we know what we're talking about, or maybe we don't know what we're talking about. It's 774-762-6234.
And it doesn't have to be Celtics. You want to talk about the Stanley Cup, give us a call on that too. Let us know what you think. But obviously it's do or die tonight, Paul. So you can't hold anything back. You got to go after it. You lose, it's all over. You win, you gather your thoughts, you gather yourself, you take that flight out there back to the West Coast, and anything happens in a championship game.
Now, let me see this jacket. You had a green jacket the other day, and now you've got, what is this, the home jacket? I mean, how many jackets do you have here?
Well, you have to have the road and the home. Your home, you got away. You got the green away. You got the home white. I'm all set.
This one doesn't have the Larry Bird in the back.
It does not.
The other one has the Larry Bird. I was really impressed. I'm like, wow, Larry Bird. Wow, we're going back to the, the 80s on that one.
Yeah, and it even had the Velcro sticker with his name on the back. Sure did.
All right. Well, tomorrow night, I got to tell you, I have some back issues and I walk kind of gingerly and I don't like people bumping into me. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go to this game tomorrow night. People around me is going to be all like 25, 30-year-old crazy people. And there's a couple of times where like there'd be a big basket made and the guy next to me is, hammered and he wants to give me like one of those high fives that almost knocks you over. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to give me the high five. I'm going to tumble down to the thing over here, So if they win, I'm going to have to like go to the car very like, okay, make sure nobody runs me over here. Is my picture blurry or am I clear?
You're looking great, Paul, as usual.
Okay.
You're going to be looking even better tomorrow night because the adrenaline's going to be flowing through you. I don't know if you're going to have an extra sarsaparilla or something like that along the way, but I'm sure you'll be doing just fine for yourself. You'll be watching that game. You might get a little high five, a little bump now and then. Maybe it'll adjust the back just the way you want it. But that's why we're on the air today and not tomorrow because you're going to the game. Hopefully we'll be back on Saturday morning and a big Celtics victory. That would be great as well. And then we can talk about what happened tomorrow night on Saturday morning. That would be awesome. Obviously, if not, try to get out to Scotty's Pub. I'm sure he'll have the game on that one too to get some appetizers out there early and then get ready for 9 o'clock start. So join him over there and see how it goes. For me, Paul, I know after this, I got to go to one of my sponsors. I got to actually play tennis tonight for the Lakeville Athletic Club. So I got some work to do for them and help them out. So helping out my sponsor this evening.
All right, so you're still playing. Obviously, you're a young guy. You're only in your 50s. So is it like an over 40 league or a 50 league or what?
You know what? I knew you were going to say that, but unfortunately, you are correct. It's over 45.
All right, so over 45. That's all right.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so I think it's the 40. So it's over 40s, and we got to meet up over at the Lakeville Club, and we're actually on the road, so we got to travel over to Rhode Island and play a team from up there.
We have to meet over at Scotty's Pub, and have a sarsaparilla. We're gonna definitely do that.
Absolutely.
Have a sarsaparilla. Now we're back. While we're on the subject, right? You used to play in that Buttonwood Park tennis classic.
Yes.
And I remember you won it a few times, didn't you?
5-time champion, Paul.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I got to do now. Now, what year would that have been?
Oh, you're going back to, let's see, 87, 88, around that time.
Right,
90s, 91s around
there. It was played, what, in July, wasn't it? June, July?
They always played it like not in August when it was really hot.
All right, I got a library of footage over here, and
Yep.
every once in a while I go through there, and there must be something in there. It was called the something tennis classic, wasn't it?
The Compass Bank
The Compass Bank Tennis Classic.
Tennis
Yes,
Classic. That's
I do
correct.
remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, you never know what might be in the library over
In the
here.
archives. In the
In the archive,
archives.
because I had all these videotapes, and I brought them to a guy, and I paid a few bucks because I was trying to do it myself, but it takes you forever. And I just gave all the tapes, and made like 2 or 3 trips, and they're all on disc now. So every once in a while I go through them and I'll crack up, and there'll be somebody that I know now that I must have interviewed 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember interviewing this guy. So we'll have to see if we'll surprise you some night, and we'll roll some footage. And
You
speaking of
never know.
footage,
You never know. There's always something probably hanging around out there. But yeah, those were some fun times. And then you had softball with it. You throw some golf in there. Just a lot of good stuff, a lot of good camaraderie. And that's what the Celtics need tonight, some camaraderie with one
that's
another
right.
to
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night, excuse me, to focus, get some confidence. And you got to win this game and play Celtic basketball. I know, unfortunately, the momentum right now is all with Golden State. There's no doubt about it. They are feeling very high on themselves, and they're coming in with the level way up here. Celtics got to knock them down early, whether it's with physicality or on the scoreboard. Something has to happen to knock them off that block and get back to some identity and confidence in this team.
This may seem minor, and it probably is minor, and it was kind of a, sort of like a first grade thing. But how about that when Tatum had the ball and Draymond Green didn't want him to shoot it after the timeout? Sometimes there's a timeout, and the guy throws the ball up there, which in hockey, if you take a shot after the whistle, you get killed. But in basketball, the guy calls timeout, they always throw one extra shot up there. And Draymond Green wanted to get the ball, and he wouldn't give him the ball. And he's like, "Give me the ball! Don't give me the ball!" I think, "Oh, here we go." And I'm thinking to myself, if that was Larry Bird or Robert Parrish, he would have got the ball right in right between his eyes, like this, boom. So I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I don't advocate that, but it was almost like, I don't know. It just felt like I wanted somebody to do something there. You know what I mean?
What I wanted, I didn't want Tatum. I wanted someone else off the bench, step in front of Green, and get him away from Tatum. Is what I would have liked to see. Because I know if it was Isaiah Thomas, Lambeer would have destroyed him.
Yeah, oh, exactly. They would have thought you were going to brawl. Take the ball, put it right in your face. So, Draymond Green has done a lot. I mean, look, the guy, he is what he is. He fouled out of the game. He's that agitator, and stuff like that. But, when the guy's rolling around with his rear end in your face and doing all this stuff, it does feel like, maybe not one of your stars, but maybe you just bring they don't have a goon in basketball like they did in hockey, right? Just bring some guy in off the bench or something. I don't know who's there that could do it. That poor Cornette, he looks like a Ichabod Crane. He's like 10 feet tall. He comes out, but somebody can come out and just say, hey, I'm going to clothesline you. You can't be doing that. That's, I want somebody to step up. I guess I've been a hockey fan too long.
All right, Paul. Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you are 8.7 career points and you are 6.9 career rebounder, are you still a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, they're saying this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. How can that be?
So is Draymond Green with that right there, what I just told you?
Yeah.
This is his career stats. He's an 8.7 in points, 6.9 in rebounds, and 5.4 in assists. Does he go to the Hall of Fame? Yes, he will. Number one, he will.
He will.
Because he's got the rings on the team and is agitated and he stirs it up and he does all the dirty work. He will make the Hall of Fame, even with those stats. And I'm sure I can look around the league. And this is a whole other topic or a whole other show that we could do. But he will go to the Hall of Fame.
I think he will go to the Hall of Fame too, but I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. What about you?
He's won the championships to prove it, and he's a starter during those championships. So if you're a starter 5 and you're in those championships, he's going to go. I still think the NBA is one of the easier ones that lets people into the Hall of Fame more than some of the other ones in the sports. So, yes, I do believe he will be in there. Do I think he should? Not by looking at those stats, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think he should be in there. And, talk about the rings and all that, I got to tell you, we only got a couple of minutes left, and I got to go anyway. But, they always say, like, well, Tom Brady won 7 championships, and this guy, the New England Patriots won so many championships, of which he was a big part of it. Guy doesn't win by himself. I don't care who he is, right?
Sure.
So then I'm watching a thing on Kyle Yastrzemski. I know that goes back before your time, right? So Guy Yastrzemski, the last doubleheader in 1967, he went 7 for 8.
Yep.
7, not 4 for 8, not 5 for 8. That's 7 for 8.
Mhm.
Basically, single-handedly, and made a great play in the field. Single-handedly wins them the American League pennant. Then he goes to the World Series, hits 3 home runs, right? And the Red Sox lost, right? So now it's like, well, you never really won. Never really won when you wanted to. You didn't win because Tony Cligliaro got beat and they didn't have the pitching and the team wasn't good enough. It doesn't have anything to do with him. You know what I mean? So that whole thing, I find that frustrating because, there are players, I said to my son one day, I said, is Doug Mirabelli better than Carlton Fisk? Because Doug Mirabelli won 3 championships. He was the backup catcher, and Carlton Fisk is a Hall of Famer, never won. No, of course not. Carlton Fisk just wasn't on a championship team, but it wasn't his fault. You know what I mean? What do you say about all that?
No, I mean, again, you can nitpick, you can choose. Why is this guy in? This guy's not. How come? Look at this stat, that stat. This could go on forever. That's why they have committees. That's why they have all the stats in front of them laid out. He could be all defense for 10 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that we'd have to look into and go, but he will go to the NBA Hall of Fame.
All right, mark that down. Etch that in stone.
Mr. Guarantee, he is going to the Hall of Fame.
All right,
I'm glad it here first.
I'm glad you're guaranteeing and not our other the other guaranteed the Celtics were going to win the other day. And I was joking because I thought I kind of agreed with him. And then I went, all right, that's the kiss of death. And they haven't won a game since.
Well, hey, look, tomorrow's a big night. Let's worry about this game right here. And then hopefully we're back on again Saturday morning, Paul.
Yes, we will.
And we talk about Game 6 and get ready for Game 7.
All right. Once again, thanks to Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street, Fall River, citywide glass, 3 locations at 425 State Road in Dartmouth, 2 additional locations in Fall River and Taunton, and Lakeville Athletic Club, 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville, where you can play tennis and pickleball. And by the way, go Chris Santos tonight, playing for Lakeville Athletic Club. Now, you got to bring it tonight now, Chris. You got to bring it.
I got to bring the A game. Yes, I do.
No pressure or anything, but, I expect the win tonight.
We'll try.
All right. Thank you very much for all your comments and phone calls, and we'll see you Saturday morning. Let's hope that the Celtics are still alive and are forcing Game 7. For Chris